So Tara, just generally speaking, what's been the greatest impact on your overall life since you become mayor? You know, family and people, and it's a huge change. So what have you seen happening to you?
You know, it's been interesting, and obviously I've been on council for many years, so I learned a long time ago that there really is not much separation between your private and your public life. And when I'm out, I'm on, right? So it doesn't matter if I'm doing something privately, such as running errands or going to the grocery store or out with my loved ones for dinner. When I'm out, I'm on, and that's great because I want to be accessible to our public. I'm here to serve in this coming term. So shifting into the mayor's office, I was always busy as a councillor, but I do notice a greater intensity in the mayor's office in terms of demands on my schedule. But that's great. I welcome that. I signed up for that. I want to do as much as I possibly can for the community and the mandate that they've given me. And probably where I notice the most difference, it's not so much an impact on me, it's my friends and family who all of a sudden, citizens who have concerns will think that, they can just, they'll offer a concern and say, well, Tara needs to fix this. And so I think that there's maybe a misunderstanding of how much power the mayor's office has. I'm still one vote of 9. But so I think friends and family notice the intensity of it more in terms of expectations that are put upon them. But by the same token, they're completely supportive of me doing it, so they just funnel it through to me, and then we manage it from there. But I absolutely love it, and I'm going full on for as long as I can.
How do you manage the stress? How do you deal with stress? Has it increased much or not?
I think in terms of stress, I think in the mayor's office I feel a heightened sense of responsibility, obviously for many reasons. But I actually haven't identified it as being more stressful. I'm the type of personality that I actually thrive under pressure, so I don't go looking for it, but by all means I wouldn't have offered myself in the mayor's race if I didn't feel that I could manage that. But I do. I think I thrive well under pressure. But by the same token, I think it's important to deal with issues as they arise. My personal leadership goal is to, insofar as much as possible, I look ahead and identify what issues are, emerging issues are, before they become critical issues. So for example, when we were dealing with snow and ice control, we were in the throes of snow and ice control, and I said, look, that's great, we got to get the community passable, but let's look ahead to next winter so that we're not, if this is our new normal, let's look ahead and manage it now so that we're not faced with this again. And by the same token, when we were in snow and ice control, I said, let's talk about flood risk in the spring, and is there things that we can do on the front end to mitigate it? So that's more my personal style. By the same token, I think it is important to, there is a time and place, I think, to step away, particularly if it's a large decision. I'm fairly analytical, so I like to take a lot of time to think about it so that when I make a decision, I can stick to that decision and know that it was the right decision. And then personally, in terms of managing it, I love to go for a jog, and I'll put my headphones in, and usually if people see me jogging, it's just an indication that's just how I shed off the problems of the day and prepare myself for the next day.
Is that your primary source of fitness, jogging? You're an active person, physically active, so what else can you do?
I'm fairly active. I struggle to sit for too long. I love being active. I love living a healthy lifestyle. I love to go for a jog, and I rollerblade, and I love to just go for a walk and to just stay active. But in terms of dealing with stress, probably jogging is my most effective outlet for that.
How long is your work week? If you can even say how.
It's interesting because people, often I'll get a question to quantify how many hours a week, and it is so difficult to quantify. I could probably put a parameter around it, but even then it doesn't actually convey, a number doesn't convey what I hope to convey in that when you're the mayor, you're always the mayor. And and I embrace that, and I welcome that. I'm here for public service. Obviously, you have to have some healthy boundaries, but by the same token, if there's an emergency in the city and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I need to be available for that. By the same token, if I need to go do something with the city and it's 5 in the morning, then by all means I need to be available to do that too. So ultimately it's about public service. I don't try to quantify it for hours. I work hard and put in long hours, but I also work effectively too, and try to structure my day so that it's not just work for the sake of work, but working effectively and being accessible to the community.
If you have to, and you must have to at times, decompress, get away from it all, what would you do?
I think in terms of decompressing or getting away from it all, I mentioned that I love to spend time outdoors, so engaging in sort of healthy activity outdoors, that's a favorite of mine. I'm an avid lifelong reader. I love to read, so that's another outlet for me. I don't have as much time to read as much as I used to before I was the mayor, and I think that the Red Deer Public Library's probably noticed that, instead of checking out my stack of books, I'll just check out 1 or 2 now in any given week. And I also I love to spend time just cooking, and I'm really looking forward to spring so I can plant my garden again, and I love doing activities like that, and that's my personal time.
What are some of your favorite personal spaces in Red Deer? Obviously City Hall is pretty important to you, but outside of your political life, where would you tell people to visit if they were coming for the first time to Red Deer, and something special in your mind?
There are many, both public and private spaces that I love in Red Deer. Born and raised Red Deerian, and I think it's been exciting to see our community change and grow. I actually really do love City Hall, and actually City Hall, I think historically has been a place where people have come to either address council, and sometimes that's positive, but sometimes there's more of an adversarial nature around that, or to pay a parking ticket. And so one of my personal goals is to actually make City Hall into a place that's warm and inviting, and a public space that people seek out in and of itself, and so to really open the doors of City Hall. So that's a goal. But in terms of actually enjoying Red Deer, like many Red Deerians, I absolutely love our trail system, and I love our trail system year-round for many different reasons. So I always elevate that. I'm an avid user of the public library. I love walking around downtown. I spend a lot of time, and I try to support a lot of our local restaurants and coffee shops, and I try to spread myself throughout the city so that I have presence in the north and the south and central as well. Yeah, it's really hard to summarize, because on any given day I try to be out and about in the community and to offer a supportive presence.
So what 2 books might you be reading today, recreationally, novels?
Right now I'm reading The Book Thief and 12 Years a Slave, and of course both those books have been made into movies recently, and that's what actually pointed me to the books. But I have a long-standing practice. I always prefer the book over the movie, so I like to read the book first, and so that's what I'm doing. Both of them are great, and it's actually interesting. There's some connections between those books that when I first picked them up I wouldn't have anticipated, but they both are just phenomenal pieces of literature. And as I often use the public library, but when it's a book that I know that it will build my personal library, and these were 2 among them, then I always buy them. But they're just phenomenal books, and just 12 Years a Slave, for example, I mean, it's phenomenal if you think that the gentleman wrote it in the 1800s, and here it is, however many years later, and it's taken on an absolute life of its own, and it's actually having such influence, and it's absolutely remarkable.